The following video is one in a series on spiritual resilience training, a non-religious view of personal values and their dynamics with others. The contents reflect a variety of principles and practices of systems theory and relational counseling for team building and family resilience. Although the series is intended to support Army Corps values, each video also encourages the viewer to reflect on their current prominent values in specific situations and to consider what values may be more appropriate to means and results that are honorable and helpful with others. Chaplain Dillard initiates creating and posting these videos. Their contents and YouTube's linked videos do not necessarily reflect specific beliefs, practices, requirements, or endorsements of the Department of Defense, its subordinate organizations, or other groups with which Chaplain Dillard is affiliated.
Welcome back. This is the second in the series on spiritual resilience and time management. If you didn't see the first, I hope that you'll take a look there. They're not necessarily cumulative, but I believe that both videos may be helpful to you. Again, there are many good and helpful techniques of how to manage our time. That's not the purpose of these videos. These want to help us, or I hope that they will help you go a little deeper in looking at some of the beliefs and values that, if neglected or distorted, can actually slow us down in our work on families, work teams, social groups, what have you. So we're going to pick up where we left off and take a look at some specific examples. Again, these statements may be articulated out loud by the person to the team, but more likely they're spoken internally, possibly consciously, but even more likely subconsciously. The next area of spiritual dynamics that may be going on is quality of work. For example, I want my work to be perfect, so I'm tweaking the fine points. This is different than the search for secure attachment. Attachment is looking for relationship. This search for quality of work is focusing on the work. So regardless of the reason, they want their work to be perfect. And they're late because they're still researching. They're late because they are triple spell checking. They're late because they are trying to make it A++. This is a good intent, but it's a little out of balance, it's distorted, it's pushed too far, and so even though they have good intentions, the team is suffering. Another example of the spiritual dynamic of quality work is I have to do all of this and do it well, or nobody else will. They may have experienced this in previous teams. Maybe they kind of grew up as an only child and they had to do everything by themselves, had no siblings to help, or irresponsible parents, or maybe in their last several jobs they had some malingerers on their team and this is what they've become accustomed to, or maybe in their current situation they've come to realize, and others realize too, that they're willing to do the extra work, or others are not willing, and so this has just become a habit. There could be many problems here, but the perspective that they have is, it's got to get done. If I don't do it, nobody will, and I want it done well. So I'm sorry, but I'm overwhelmed. I've got all this stuff going on, but if I don't get it done, it's not going to get done. A third example of the good intention for quality work, but really distorted, is I didn't get quality from you, so now I'm punishing you with my bad work, with my late work, with any number of things. They might be doing a lot of busy work but not significant work. This is really kind of passive-aggressive, very unhealthy, very detrimental, not necessarily common, but it does happen. There are people who seem to be managing their time poorly, but it's not because they can't. They're choosing not to because in their mind, for right or wrong, true or false, they're punishing somebody else because they thought they deserved something better than they got in the past, and now this is a conscious choice to punish that other person, and the whole team is being affected. Maybe somebody immediately comes to your mind. Regarding quality of work, here's a few recommendations that may be helpful. Communicate and maintain standards for professional work and care for personnel. There's got to be a balance of professionalism and personal care. And that can look like many things. It might mean that person needs to be fired or put on notice or let go of the team or benched or some other discipline. It might mean that they need to be trained or encouraged, or somebody to come alongside and mentor them. What is their need? Where's it coming from? So that you can decide what is most fitting for that person to help them as an individual and to succeed in the team. The last subject we'll look at in this video, although there may be others we could think of, but we'll keep it relatively short, is the idea, the spiritual desire for sufficient rest. For example, if I don't slow down and do less, I'm just not going to make it. That could be articulated by a single parent who has a lot going on at home, and they're also working, and they're trying to maintain a sense of social network for themselves, and the whole scope of things are very, very overwhelming. Now, you may be looking at a slice of their life and saying, you're late on that, you're not turning in quality material on this. I want you to set a different set of priorities so you're managing your time better. I can't believe this is always an issue for you, but you're only looking at a slice of their life. They're looking at everything, and they don't know what to drop. It feels like they can't drop anything, so they need some rest from somewhere, and they're starting to put things down. It may be things that you don't agree with, and maybe truly that's not what they need to put down, or not at this time or in that way. But for them, it's just another 50-pound rock in their backpack that they can't carry. They got to set something down. One other manifestation of the desire for sufficient rest is very, very different, but just as real sometimes. And it might be stated like this, internally or externally, by the person. I deserve a break every day, so I get up and I get away. The issue of entitlement in our society is growing more and more. And there may be somebody on your work team, in your family, in your social group, that it truly is all about them. And the reason that they're not managing their time well is because they think they're managing their time perfectly. And they need to be able to do the minimum amount of work in that family, work team, or whatever, and get the maximum reward. Here's some recommendations for both. We need to know our people so we can relieve them as most appropriate. And I choose that word relieve very intentionally to get the overwhelmed person some rest. And that might be time away. It might just be some training on how to use their time more efficiently. It could be a listening ear so they don't feel alone. It could be some mentoring so they know how to handle and multitask some of those things. It could be many, many things, or a combination of those things. For the other person, to relieve them might mean to fire them. It might mean benching them on the softball team, or disciplining them in an appropriate way as a family member. There are a lot of possibilities, but the key is to know our people. Where is this coming from? How can we be helpful to them? And those could be some difficult choices, because it might mean a very long-term fix, or it might mean a very uncomfortable fix in some different ways. They might have to set some things down that are really important to them, or delay some things that are important to you. But make sure we think it out. A quick solution is rarely a good solution. Take time to well articulate what is the problem, so the solution is feasible, we can do it, they can persevere in it, they've got resources for it, and it will be a lasting solution. Hope those things are helpful to you, and I hope to see you in future videos. See you then.
At the release date of this video, I am stationed with Research, Development, and Engineering Command, RDECOM, at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland. Because the majority of our personnel are in this area, I spend most of my time here. I do, however, travel to our distant units based on command priorities and budget. I place these videos on YouTube for broad visibility to Army personnel and their families, but I hope the videos will be helpful to others too. If you are assigned to RDECOM and want to request specific topics by video, training on site or by VTC, or confidential counseling on site or by secure webcam, you can contact me at jeffrey.d.dillard.mil@mail.mil.